G'day Lee. Lee's just joined us. Steve's joined us. How are you, fellas? Hope everything's good in your neck of the woods. Lee, I read a post on Facebook today. Some great news from your end of the woods. Congratulations, sir. I know you've been working hard at that for quite some time, so that was great to see. Trace has just joined us as well. So, folks, today I'm going to go into a few different topics and tie them all together into one thing. And this is all about helping to find your power to be and act in a way so you can overcome adversity with whatever you're facing at any given time in your life. And what I'm going to share with you is exactly how I do it for myself. So I'm going to be speaking really about my own experience and from the heart how I do it. And where I would like to start on today's live cast, welcome Allison from Miami. Michael, how are you, brother? Good to see you guys. Where I'm going to start today is with two gentlemen that influence our work here at the Awakening Point a lot. That is Tom Campbell, and Joseph Campbell. Okay, now these are two separate people. Sometimes I get messages saying, you know, Mike, I thought his name was Tom Campbell. Now you're calling him Joseph. Okay, they're two separate people here. Okay, Tom Campbell, from My Big Toe, is the foundation of all of our work. This is what has changed my own personal life and continues. This is the ground that I walk on. It is the absolute foundation. Joseph Campbell is a gentleman that any of you guys can look him up on Google. Joseph was kind of went into the hero's journey. You know, myths, symbols, what this means to us as like archetypes in our lives. And he did a lot of work with that. We use that work very heavily, especially with our coaching, services with the Awakening Point. I'm going to tie all of this in during this talk. So bear with me. Great to see you guys. Joe, g'day, mate. Good to see you joining us. Stuart, how are you, brother? Israel's joined us as well. So that's the first thing we need to start with. Thomas Campbell and Joseph Campbell. They're two separate people. Now, okay, when I'm faced with a situation in my life where I feel overwhelmed or I feel confused or I'm not sure how to proceed to deal with it, to engage with it, there is a certain set of sequences that I do for very specific reasons. Dylan's just joined us. G'day, Dylan. How are you, brother? So the reasons for engaging with the adversity in this way will become apparent as I start to unravel it. Now, I'd like to also start with the saying from Joseph Campbell that where you stumble, there lies your treasure. So the very thing that makes you stop or trip over or lose your bearings, where you feel lost and you feel overwhelmed by this adversity, that very thing is being projected out from you. You are projecting that out from the inside. The reason why you're stuck is because of what's inside you, not what's going on out in the world. So this is a really important thing to start with, okay? Because that's going to help you shift your attitude, the way you're perceiving it, to empower yourself, okay? This is where Thomas Campbell comes in, okay? So we're looking at the situation from a love-based perspective, okay? We're faced with this adversity, and it's the very thing that creates us, that causes us to stumble, is our treasure. That's how we're going to prosper in overcoming this adversity. And the first thing here to consider is the difference between a strategy and a tactic. The difference between strategic being and tactical doing. Okay, so when we're faced with this situation, when we're in this adverse situation, we've got this big problem, we need to find a solution for it, we're stuck, we feel like we can't overcome it, we may feel overwhelmed, depression might be setting in, and everything, the world starts to shrink in, and we just feel completely powerless. Ray's just joined us. G'day, Ray. So by thinking in a strategic way, not in a tactical way. So don't be thinking first, what do I do? Doing is secondary here. Being is primary. So when we find ourselves in this situation, let's cut the thought of what do I do? How do I do this? It's not there. The answer's not there. So what we do is we ask ourselves a series of questions, okay, so we can get a strategic look at the situation here. This is where love-based being helps you deal with the situation. So you want to be coming from a love-based position, okay? Your strategy in overcoming the adversity, your mission in overcoming this and growing is to be loving. Number one, that's the first thing you tell yourself. I need to deal with this in a loving way. I need to be love. Okay? Because as soon as the strategy now becomes, I need to deal with this in a loving way, that's going to empower you and start to put out the tactics coming from a love-based position that's going to allow cooperation instead of competition. It's going to draw in other people, other mentors, other friends that are going to help you. Okay, so not only that, when you engage with the adversity, when you engage with the people that are involved in there, you're going to be interacting and creating connections where energy is going to go to and fro, that's going to be all love-based, and it's going to bring everyone together on the same page, coming from a love-based strategy. Therefore, all the tactics that start to come out, the doing part, is all going to be flowing from a love-based position, meaning we're going to cooperate, we're not going to judge each other, we're going to accept each other from where we all are in our particular stage of our journey. And that, my friends, is how you create an environment to tackle the adversity now. Now you're ready to start thinking, okay, what do I do here? Okay, because now you've set the strategy from which the tactics can come from. And this is something that Tom Campbell outlines so beautifully in his work, My Big Toe. And this is what allows us to kind of understand the world, understand ourselves, understand that we are responsible, we're not victims. We can tackle adversity in a loving way where it's exciting. We're pioneering our own personal growth. That shift in how we perceive what's going on, that shift, that empowering posture that we give ourselves, where we're engaging with our own demons in a loving way, this is how you win. This is how I do it. This is how I tackle adversity in my own life. This is how I tackle my own personal growth. And when I'm talking about a love-based position or love-based decisions, I'm not talking about lovey-dovey stuff. I put up a poem last night on Facebook about Trace. It was lovey-dovey. It was a beautiful poem. I was just filled with a lot of love for her. Things aren't easy when you go through an awakening, when you're facing your fears head on. and outgrowing those fears, it's a testing environment, not just for the person going through it, but for the people around them. Like it's not easy. And I was expressing my love and respect for my wife last night on Facebook. It was lovey-dovey. It was beautiful, but that's not what I'm referring to when I'm talking about love-based position or love-based posture. It's not something that is lovey-dovey. So it's important that we don't confuse that. We're not saying when you have to be loving, we're not saying you have to be lovey-dovey, that you have to let people walk all over you. We're not saying that. What we're saying is that by being in a love-based attitude, by taking a love-based position, what you're doing is you're perceiving the situation through loving eyes. That means you're not going to judge the people. You're going to accept everyone as who they are, where they're at. And that creates that cooperative environment, that interaction, that way of being, where now you're all kind of empowered. You're vibrating at a higher frequency now. You are tapping into the true potential of your human spirit, what it means to be human, the power that we have each got inside us, that we can unleash and blossom like this beautiful, incredibly powerful flower, and when multiple people are involved in a mission together, and you are creating the example by being the love-based attitude from the start, that then creates the standard that everyone's going to engage with. So that's why that's so important, and that's why in our coaching services, like many times, what we're asking is people to stop trying to act and do. Take a breather, and let's look at this strategically. Let's look at the situation, what you're projecting out, how you're perceiving it, and let's put a love-based position there. So you're now seeing it in that love-based way. Okay, so, and that then allows for the tactics, for the doing part to flow in a loving way, where it can create a successful engagement with the adversity, and a cooperative one where you can overcome the adversity and you can grow, or better said, outgrow your own fears, which is what causes, what manifests the adversity out into the virtual reality. It's what's inside us, our own fears. That's why we stumble. And when we stumble and we find ourselves on the ground, when we trip over, the reason why that is where our treasure is because what we draw from ourselves, how we outgrow that fear with love, is how we get back onto our feet. And then as we get back onto our feet, now looking at the situation with new eyes, with loving eyes, we're now empowered. We're operating at a higher level. We can take on the adversity, or it begins to melt away. The fears begin to melt away automatically. It doesn't require tactical engagement a lot of the time in how do I do this, because as you shine the light of awareness of your loving being on the situation where there was darkness and you couldn't see, you were a little bit confused, how do I deal with this? By taking that love-based posture, you become aware you become open, so you can see your own fears. Plus you illuminate the interactions with other people that are around you in dealing when dealing with this adversity. So you can then flow freely with your non-judgment, with your acceptance, coming from a love-based position, creating a cooperative environment. Everything just seems to flow. And as you become aware of that, and as others become aware of that, that illumination of awareness sometimes just melts away the confusion. It's you can just see what you need to do here. And a lot of times when we're charged with anger, or when we're charged with that helpless feeling of like, I just don't know what to do here, I feel like I'm not equipped to deal with this, then by changing your strategy into a loving one instead of a fear-based strategy, then that alone, you become enlightened by it. You become aware. Oh shit, that's what I did. I got pissed off because someone said something to me in front of another person. My pride was hurt. I felt embarrassed, inadequate. I got angry. I lashed out, and that then started a series of events that led to this confusion, which now I'm not confused. I can see exactly what happened. And that is an extremely empowering posture to take on willingly in a situation, because that allows us to eat some humble pie. And g'day Debbie. Debbie just joined us. When we're eating humble pie, what's happening is we're automatically changing our fear-based strategic projection, our fear-based strategic perception into a love-based strategic perception. So that's what happens when I find myself in a situation where I'm silently introspecting. I'm eating that humble pie, assessing what's going on, how I arrived at this position. I'm already now switching from a fear-based into more of a love-based strategic outlook. So then my tactics, what I need to do to engage with and overcome the situation, overcome my fears, is now all coming from a love-based posture. And as I mentioned already, a lot of times that doesn't even require tactical action, because just the light of awareness makes it all clear and it just flows from there. So thanks for joining me, folks. I just thought I'd share that with you because the last week or so I've been through this myself, and I've had a few messages from about 3 or 4 people in the last week who have also found themselves in quite challenging circumstances over this last week, and they were kind of like just reaching out, asking for help. And I thought that this would be the best way to help those people, because that's how I help myself when I find myself in these emotionally charged situations where we can feel overwhelmed, and we can feel that we're just simply not equipped to deal with it, that this adversity is bigger than us, that we're not good enough, we're not grown up enough. Adam's just joined us. G'day, Ads. So yeah, that's how I deal with it, folks. I think I'll leave it at that. So again, I just want to go into that for myself, for Trace. Our foundation, of course, is Tom Campbell's work. I'll put a few links down where you can, if you haven't read Tom Campbell's trilogy, My Big Toe, I'll leave links there for you to be able to order those books and read it. It's just going to help empower you. And for those who have just joined us, Jennifer, you've just joined us. How are you? Always good to see you. Then you can see this video from the start once I finish the live stream in about 30 seconds, and you can revise this content of how I tackle adversity and empower myself in the process. So a big part of this is not doing a 2-step process of or a 3-step process of being completely confused, then trying to tackle the adversity, then trying to find the best positivity in it so we can grow. This is more about doing it all in one go, and doing it all in one go, all in one motion is how you empower yourself, by taking that love-based strategic outlook and then allowing the strategic doing or the actions to flow from that. So they're all automatically kind of love-based anyway, where things like, as I mentioned, acceptance, non-judgment, these are creating a cooperative environment where people are cooperating instead of competing. Man, it's just a higher level of doing things, and things are so much easier. The struggle is monumentally less, and it's just incredible the love-based interactions that you can experience during this time of adversity with others is inspiring to ourselves and to all of those involved. So yes, it is an incredibly empowering situation. I wish this upon all of you guys. There's some real heavyweights that always join these live casts that have got so much wisdom to offer, and I engage with these people behind the scenes quite a bit, and they help me a lot. So I want to thank everybody who who helps me to inspire myself through their example. So I'll leave it at that for you guys. Thank you for joining me. Tomorrow we've got Christian, one of our biggest rating speakers that we've ever had on, Christian Sundberg. Sydney time tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. I think it is. We'll have Christian on the live cast, and we're going to be exploring quality of intent, which is a huge topic, a really profound topic, and a topic that can really help all of us who will be engaging with Christian tomorrow. So thanks again for joining us, and bye for now, folks. Love you all heaps. Bye.